Hello, in today's video, I want to talk to you about three products that are going to help you plan a roadmap your products. So what I'm going to talk about these products is that I'm going to talk about their main features, what I think that are the main differences between each other, what they provide that is valuable for you, and also what is going to be the pricing schemes that they have. And what I want to do with this video is I want to also promote those new products that are up and coming, not the ones that we already know, but just focus more now on those new products or new startups that are building those products that are going to help you building those roadmaps, those plans for you to build your successful products. So first product is going to be Productor. Productor labels themselves as a product management software, and as they say, they want you to listen to the voice of your users from the idea all the way to the launch. Now, of course, all of us product people want this. We want to build products that people are passionate about. So what are going to be the main features of Productor? And I hope that I'm pronouncing it correctly. First of all, they're going to have the dashboard, which is, of course, a management platform management area where you can see how your products are evolving. Then there's going to be the feedback management, where you can see all the ideas and all the feedback and all the opportunities that you are gaining from your customers. Then there's going to be a task management, something that obviously is very important for anybody working with products. Products are complex. You have to track and be able to manage your tasks. Task management always going to be great and helpful for you. As well, they're going to have a road mapping tool or road mapping section, and also will include things like changelog and documentation. So what they're trying to be is an all-in-one product management tool. So one of the things I like is I really like the aspect of having an all-in-one tool. I see the downsides of it, of course. Sometimes the tools can maybe not be that powerful in certain areas, but I see the appeal definitely of having that one tool that it will help you align and manage all your processes, tasks, plans, communication, feedback, and so on. And I think that one of the valuable things that it has is that it's going to promote alignment a lot with other teams and with external stakeholders or customers that can see what you are doing, that can see what are your plans and be more involved on your kind of daily work. And this is very important, especially if you want to be user-centric and if you want to have transparency across your teams. I had to admit that I really love the dashboard, being able to visualize and understand better how a product is or a project is evolving, how you're moving forward, how tasks are being closed or they are being planned or what not. It's going to help you understand much better in which position you are, how far are you potentially from getting to your goals. And it also brings a lot of transparency and understanding to the rest of the teams of how you are performing, especially with Agile. And especially with Santa's, how the work is planned, many people find it very uncertain to understand when things are going to be ready, because it's not this kind of a strict plan that we know when everything is going to be ready. But if you are able to show the dashboard where people can track and see that, hey, this many tasks has been completed, we have gotten this much feedback from customers, it has been more or less than the previous months, and whatnot, that I think is going to be great. Great to have it in this tool. Great to have a visual aid. Obviously, there's the feedback management, task management, road mapping that are very important. I think that something that is very important to have here also is the documentation. Although it's not the core value, it's very important to be able to document your product, to document the different tasks that you had to do, why certain decisions were, what is your vision, what not. It's going to help you a lot to have all that pieces of information in the same environment, because it's going to make it easier for the rest of your team to find all that information in the same place instead of trying to juggle through many different platforms. Finally, I wanted to talk about the pricing in Productor. Productor has an interesting pricing scheme, if you want to call it that way. I think it's quite good. I like that it's not on the very expensive side. Many of these road mapping tools or product management tools can get really expensive when you start pricing them and all the value that they are providing you. And I'm not saying that they don't have to be expensive, but they can be really pricey. There's one thing that I like is that they had this startup mode, which is free. And it's obviously limited for the number of users, up to 5. Also a little bit limited on the number of the features that it has. But I think that it's already a good starting point. And many times, especially when you are working with a small team, you can always start with a small one, see how it works, understand it, consider it. And if it's a good fit for your team, then you can go and decide to purchase it and purchase the number of licenses seats that you need. The price is done per user or per seat, however you want to call it, and billed monthly. And then they have 2 more tiers. So they have tier-based, basically, and then they have the growth package and the premium package. The difference between these ones mainly are the number of users. So in the growth, you will be restricted, or is more optimized for 6 to 50 users, and you pretty much have all the features available to you. Of course, there are some things that you don't have available to you and that they are in the next tier. In the growth tier, you already have a support and all the integrations and no code automations, which is very interesting. In the premium one, then you have, optimized for more than 50 users, weekly email reports, dedicated account manager, priority support, and remove branding, which is something that is interesting if you want to share with outside people, of course. The next product I wanted to talk about is Airfocus. Airfocus is not that a small startup anymore, and it's not that an unknown product anymore. At least I'm getting a ton of ads from them. Maybe they are just spending a ton of money in marketing, but you can see that they have quite a relatively big presence, although they are not yet up there maybe with all those most popular platforms and product management softwares out there. What is the goal of Airfocus? As they say it in the website, is that they are a platform built for the new way of doing product management. So very product management focus. Product management is made easy with flexible platform that helps you to manage strategy, understand user needs, prioritize, and align your teams around clear roadmaps. If you saw what I was talking in Productor, so they're very similar platforms, very similar products, and plays in a very similar scope and vision of what they are trying to achieve. What are the main features of Airfocus? First of all, they have the roadmaps. Second, prioritization with their own framework. They have their own framework defined, which I never tried that one, but again, sounds reasonable. It sounds like it's important to have a established way of working. They also focus on how to bring insights and feedback from customers. So very important if you want to make sure that you are focusing on product discovery and that you are not ignoring all the feedback and all the potential opportunities that your customers are bringing to you. Next one of the main features is that they bring modularity. And modularity here meaning that when you are working with some kind of a data or component, for example, a board view, you can actually have different views of the same data, of the same background data. So a little bit like what Notion is doing. So you could, for example, have a Kanban view and a Gantt view of the same data and the same tasks that you have planned for your roadmap, for example. And then finally, they also have added the AI Assist. Yes, AI now is present in pretty much everything, and all the products are jumping into adding some kind of AI features that help you with recommendations. And in this case, what they're trying to help you is that when you're trying to build something like a task, you can ask for them to create a template for you for that task. This is important. I think that this is beneficial. It's not maybe the world changing, but it's beneficial from the point of view that it helps you have a template and have a checklist of things that you had to do whenever you are adding information, for example, for a task, for a feature, for whatnot. Just make sure that all the information that you are going to need is there listed and is there recorded. What I like of Airfocus, I think that as a platform works really well. Again, it's pretty much an all-in-one platform as Productor is. There are, of course, some differences, like documentation that Productor has is not so much prevalent in Airfocus. But I think that what I like of this one is that they have all these different views that help you see and align and plan your work. And I think that for many different people, different views are going to be important. So for some people, a timeline is going to be really important to understand when things potentially are coming out. Many sales teams and customer success teams are going to appreciate this. If you are talking mainly with the engineering team, they're looking more into like some kind of Kanban board. And then you are going to have things like priority chart that are going to help you see what would be the opportunities that have the highest priority for you. Really important. And I think that this is very valuable. I think that it has a very nice and modern look and very user-friendly that I really, really like and really appreciate. They are also quite a big company, and it has been used by many famous companies, so you can see all that information from their website. And of course, they also have a ton of integrations with all the usual products that you think that you will be using when you are using or working in a tech company, things like Slack, GitHub, Jira or Atlassian or Jira, never know how people pronounce that one, Intercom, whatnot. They have a ton of integration, so important for you to check out if you are going to consider a tool like Airfocus. And now let's talk quickly about the pricing. Airfocus is a little bit more on the price side of, or pricier side of these tools. And here they don't have like a free product. They have a trial period. That's a different story. But then they have different basically tiers for the products. The pricing is done per person, but then they also have limitations on the number of workspaces that you can have. So for the lower tier, they only have one workspace and the number of 5 contributors included, plus then you have the pricing per editor. Then you have the advanced tier where you have similar to what you have in the previous one, but you don't have limitation in the number of contributors. Still, the pricing is done by editor. And you don't have limitation on the actual workspaces. Plus, you have a ton of new features that you don't have in the lowest tier. If you move to the next tiers, here they are going to change the way that they are going to build it, and they actually don't have open information on how the building is done, and it's something that you had to contact them if you want to go for these ones. These are going to be for bigger teams, bigger organizations that need more information. It includes different also new features that are not included in the previous ones. This for me might be sometimes a little bit of a killer when making the decision or the consideration, because I would like to try all the different features. The fact that you don't get access to them, you might get them in the trial, so that's a different story. But I think that it's important that you are able to use them in your daily job, because then you actually get to understand if it's something that you can that you're going to benefit from it or not. Anyways, you have the Pro and then the Enterprise that are going to add more features, plus things like the Enterprise is going to add especially things like SAML, SSO, enterprise terms, priority customer support, more like what is typically in an enterprise deal, where you want to have that more like 24/7 type of support and with some highest priority for your cases to be solved. So you make sure that your machine is always running properly. This is something that is very important for enterprise deals. Now, the third product I wanted to talk about is avion.io. So Avion, how they define themselves is that they are a user story mapping for agile product teams. So as the name says there, or they define it, they are user story mapping. So they're very focused around that framework that user story mapping is. And it's very important because that's the main value proposition. I think that this is something that I really appreciate. And I think that it's also important to have. As much as I like the one tool that does it all, I think that sometimes one tool that is not necessarily extremely flexible, but it's making sure that you are following that framework and that you are following it right, it is a very beneficial way of working for you. It's very beneficial for your processes and for your workflows. Other tools probably are not going to have a very good or very strict implementation of the different frameworks. So as they talk about, they help you transform your backlog into one strategic product roadmap, and they help you plan and build software more effectively, build detailed user journeys, visualize your entire product in Avion by mapping out your user journeys. This helps you and your team to craft a truly user-centric backlog and set of user stories. So the main focus or the main features of Avion are going to be the possibility of building detailed user journeys, being able to plan releases and spot dependencies between different teams and different tasks, keep the personas at the core of your product. And this is very important, making sure that you are very user-centric. And that's one of the best benefits of user story mapping. You want that your customer is at the center of everything that you're doing. Then, of course, you're going to be able to export and share your story maps, and you can then create workflows that fit your team. So one of the things I really like about Avion is, as I said, it centers around one framework, and it makes sure that you can implement it as good as possible in your company or in your team. I think that one of the maybe more important things here is that you really have to believe in Agile. You really have to understand what Agile is. Of course, it can help you adopting Agile, but it's never going to hurt if you know something beforehand, because if you jump in without knowing what Agile is, you might be a little bit lost initially, but it will be important for you to understand better first what Agile is and what user story mapping is. Then you can start jumping into what Avion is going to help you offer, and what is going to be the value proposition. But typically, if you are into product management in a tech company and you are an Agile company or Agile teams, or you most likely are going to be quite familiar with this terminology, these workflows, these frameworks. I also think that it's very important that Avion is actually promoting a way of working that is very user-centric. And I think that this is very key if you want to bring user-centricity to your ways of working. Is going to be very key. In many of the other product management tools, the feedback and the insights is something that is there, but it's not maybe necessarily their core value proposition. And I think that in this way, Avion is positioning itself in a very different way from the other product management tools, which is, I think, a very strong selling point for them. Maybe their unique value proposition. Check a video about what unique value proposition is. And actually loving the theme of frameworks, loving what Agile is. I think that for me, this is a great tool and something that definitely is great to give it a chance and test it and see if this would fit your own workflows. On top of that, I had an interview with the CEO of Avion. You can go and check it up here. He's a great guy, and he has very great insights of what Agile is, what product management is, and the different frameworks to help you achieve your goals and being user-centric. Avion also has been already quite a while. It's a smaller startup, probably maybe the smallest one in this group, but I think that they have already a good presence, and they have already a good amount of customers that you can get feedback or see how they're using and hear their stories to understand how it's solving their problems. The pricing for Avion is kept fairly simple. There's 3 tiers, and all of them include all the features in the product, which is really nice. So the first tier is for startups or just freelancers, so early stage startups. You can see the criteria there. But to summarize, what they are looking for are companies that have less than 10 employees, less than $1 million in funding, and that they have been trading for less than 2 years. And if you're a freelancer, you must have an evidence that you're actively doing freelancing and provide a link to your portfolio. The next tier is going to be the professional one, which is going to be the one that applies to probably most of the companies out there. And both of them, the professional and the startup tiers, they include the first 3 users, and then every additional user is charged $7 per month. The enterprise plan obviously is for bigger companies and bigger teams, and when you want to scale up the adoption of the framework in a bigger company. And here you're talking a small set of special features. I wouldn't call them the typical features of the product, but the features that are for the enterprise. So single sign-on, so you can use your own company credentials to sign into the product, dedicated environment, DPA and GDPR contracts, and so on. What I like of this model is that the price is not on the very expensive side. And something that when I had the podcast with James, the CEO of Avion, he mentioned that they are thinking also to move towards charging per usage instead of charging per user. And I really like this because charging per usage is probably the fairest way of pricing a product. So maybe tell me a little bit on the comments down below, what are the product management tools or the road mapping tools that you are using? Have you heard of any of these tools, or do you know any tool that I should be taking a look into and bringing it up here into the channel. And if you want me to do an in-depth review of some of these tools, please let me know in the comments below. If you want to support the channel and help me build what I'm trying to build here, go check out the links in the description and pin comment down below where I have created different resources and templates to help you in your work and your journey in creating products and digital products. I will see you in the next one, and remember, stay safe.